G'day fellas and welcome to a Manor Lord's Guide where we take a look at how to survive the first year on the hardest possible difficulty. So that's not just a difficulty of clicking on the edge and then going challenging. This is actually turning up every single dial as hard as it will go. So we've turned the difficulty up to 11. Let's dive in and take a look at how you actually beat this game in the first year. The first year is by far the hardest part. As long as we can get through that, it's going to be smooth sailing to the end. Let's get to it. Alright, so we've spawned in. The first thing that we're going to be doing is assessing the spawn. So we'll take a look and see what resources we've got close, whether there's any of them, and which ones are going to be rich. So it looks like we have pretty mixed bag right here. We've got clay that's pretty far away, iron that's pretty far away, as well as our berries that are pretty far away. But fortunately, there's one resource that only really matters to us, and that is deer. And not only is it close to us, but it's also a rich deposit. Now, I would recommend, if you're doing this, try and do one, or try and find a spawn where the deer do spawn close to you. If they don't, it's almost going to be impossible to do it. So perhaps that's the super duper impossible difficulty, but this is the main thing that we're looking for. It's the deer that are close by. So let's go ahead, we'll accept our messages here, and we'll talk about what our opening is. So to start out, it's a pretty simple opening. This is a build order. If you've ever played RTS games before, you'll be familiar with build orders. It's the same sort of concept here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to build a hunting cabin close by over to my deer. I'm also going to be building a logging camp. Now keep in mind, when I spawn in, I've only got 2 timber. It doesn't cost me anything to put down a hunting cabin, but it does cost me 2 timber to put down a logging camp. So we're going to need this bad boy up as soon as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down relatively close to my starting area. I'm also going to draw a road between them, just to make sure that we have got ourselves everything that we need. Those roads always help out with our villages or our families. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start building our first 2 buildings. So once these 2 buildings are completed, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assign 2 villages or 2 families over to each of them. So let's just go ahead. We're going to track the movement of the nearby raiders, and let's keep fast forwarding through. And immediately we throw 2 workers on the hunting cabin, or 2 families on the hunting cabin. Then the last 3 are going to be building the last logging camp. A family is hungry, indeed they are, but don't worry, they might be hungry, but they're not going to be hungry for too long. And then, of course, our logging camp, once it is complete, we're going to be throwing over 2 people on them as well. And you might be wondering, okay, but why do we only throw 2 people there, not 3 people? And that is because we're going to be moving our hitching post. We want to utilize our hitching post as much as possible, and that means keeping it very close to our logging camp. So we're going to go ahead and move the hitching post over as well. Once we've done this, we should have enough timber to go ahead and throw down our next building. Now, you want to throw this down on a wood line as our hitching post is complete. You can see that we're just short of on timber. Still need 1 timber, but we want to throw down our woodcutter's lodge. So that's going to be this guy right here, but we do need to get 1 timber from that. So we're going to wait for our timber to come through. You'll see it at the top here as they're slowly chopping down those trees, and we've got a new message. Don't worry, we're just going to end the conversation right away because that is from the Baron, and we're not really that interested in what he's got to say. So we've now got 2 timber in. The next building that we're going to put down is going to be the woodcutter's lodge. I'm going to put it away from the existing resource, or the existing building that uses the same resource, just because we don't want to really double stack them up too much. So now that we've put the woodcutter's lodge down, that same family that was building the hitching post or moving the hitching post is going to take after that woodcutter's lodge. And from here, the next building that we're going to be looking to build is going to be the tannery. So the tannery will be available under industry. It's this guy right here, but it is quite expensive. It does cost 4 timber to put this down. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait until we've finished our woodcutter's lodge. And as soon as the woodcutter's lodge is finished, we'll take 1 off the hunting cabin and we'll bring them 1 off the hunting camp and bring them over onto the woodcutter's lodge. So this is going to start providing us some fuel or firewood. And we should now have enough on the timber. So let's go ahead. We'll throw down our tannery. Tannery is going to allow us to turn the hides that we've got in from the hunting camp, and that's going to allow us to convert those into clothes that we're going to be able to wear. This is really important for us to have because it is going to increase our approval points, and by increasing the approval points, it's going to allow you to stay afloat a little bit more. It means your people aren't going to run away to a faraway land where they live a better life, because they're going to live a pretty good life here with us once we get through this first little part. So we're going to slow it down to normal speed, because as our tannery is coming up to finish, we're now going to start thinking about putting down our marketplace. That is the next most important thing that we need to do. Now, ideally, we want it not that big. It only needs to be about 4 to 6 stalls because there's only a couple of things that we need to put down, at least initially. We can always make it a little bit bigger later on, but I always like to just keep it kind of small, and that way it's easier to keep track of because I know where my stalls are. But now everyone's going to go over and they're going to make their stalls, but one of the things that you'll notice is they don't put anything inside the stalls. This is very intentional. There's no demand at the moment for them to put anything in the stalls, and they won't actually put things in there until there is demand. But one of the things that we really need to do when we start off on this mode is we need to make sure that we are prepared for the demand when it comes in. So we're going to go ahead and throw somebody in the tannery. So you'll see now that we've got 5 people in total. I'm going to take 1 off the logging camp for the moment. You can see we're up to 7 timber at the moment, which is more than enough. So we're going to keep 1 person just chilling out, and you'll see right now that we, as soon as we get our first hide in, they should go ahead and start up making their own little stall. So once that stall is complete, there we go right now, what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade our homeless people's tent, and we're going to upgrade them to worker camp. This is one of my favorite things to do, and it's actually incredibly strong. It is by far, I would almost say that the worker camp is overpowered. That's how good this thing is. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to upgrade this, and this is going to make our life so much easier. We're also going to time this right at the end of the month, which means that the likelihood of rollover is a lot lower for approval rating. So basically the way that approval works is you've got a temporary component, which is the recent 30 days, and then underneath that you've got previous, which is a more long-term component, and it will only roll over a quarter of each respective category. So homelessness, it will roll over a quarter of that. Hunger, it will roll over a quarter of that into our long term. So if we do this at the end of the month, what that's going to mean is that if as an example, we don't have enough firewood, then that's not going to cause us too many issues because it's going to roll over to the next month, and hopefully we'll just forget about it. So you can see right here, we don't have enough fuel on the marketplace, there's not enough food variety on the marketplace, not enough cloth variety, all those things, and that will be fixed up very, very soon. But what we're going to do is once that comes online, now demand will immediately go out, the tannery will be notified, the woodcutters lodge will be notified, and they will immediately look to put things inside the stall. So you can see we do have leather, you can see that we have meat out here, and we should now have firewood. So everybody is being satisfied, but you can see that these numbers still up here, they're sitting at low numbers. They're at -2. And that's a really good thing because it means when we get to the end of the month, they're not going to roll over into the next month. We're not going to have to worry about them as long as they don't hit 4. 4 is the point at which they will begin to do that. So as that month is about to roll over, you can see another 4 days until the month rolls over. What we're going to do is we're going to go and start preparing for our next goal, which is going to be our church. So we need to get our church up online and running. So I'm going to go ahead and throw down a saw pit. I'm going to put it down pretty close here. I want it relatively close to my logging camp. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it immediately next to it. The next thing we're also going to need to do is look at stone and where we're going to be getting that stone from. So it's relatively far away. It is a rich deposit. Not that that really changes too much. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that down as well. So we'll go and add in a mining camp. So it's a little bit far. And normally, so with stone, I make a slight exception to the build order. Normally, we don't look to put in any kind of storage. So we don't go for a granary. We don't go for what's the other building called? A storehouse. We don't do that. But in this situation where we're a little bit further away from the stone, I am going to go for the storehouse. It does make sense here because we're going to have to bring back 10 stone to build it. So we're going to speed it up here, and our month is about to roll over here. We're about 2 or 3 days away from it, and as long as our approval doesn't drop below 25%, we're going to be fine. That means that there's no risk of any families leaving, and as you can see, there has fortunately been a rollover, and only the church level being too low has rolled over together with the homelessness, which is what we expected because they were both over 4. All the other ones have been forgotten, which is lovely to see, and it means now that our people can focus on moving up from here. So if we take a look, we'll now start to see some positive traits on there. Things like access to fabric will be a really big part of that. So now that our saw pit is online, we want to make sure that we're very careful about where we put our villagers to and from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out of the tannery. You can see that we've got 11 leather here, and we need to be careful with the tannery, just because if it gets to a year and our workers need to have more leather, they're not going to be able to access that unless there is somebody working in the tannery. But here, if we click on the tannery stall, you can see it's abandoned. It's still got the 1 leather in there, and they're going to be more than happy with that. So we're going to fast forward it, and hopefully we start getting some nice little points for clothing market supply, and there it is coming through right away for us. So it's quite some time before you actually need to go back in and put more leather into this. It's only really if you're going to be expanding out, yeah, that's pretty much it, because you will need to add in additional leather for every burgage plot that you add in. For the worker camp, you only need 1. That's the great thing about it. So our saw pit is now going to start, our saw pit is now going to start generating generating the planks that we need. The only issue is, and you may see it here, our ox is currently on a mission. And this is probably, it's one of the things that kind of sucks about the way that the AI works. It would have been very easy for that ox to just drop off at the saw pit. But instead, because this was the first command that it got to go and build the stonecutter camp, it's going to walk all the way out here. So, to be honest, this is kind of like a dead, or not a dead, but a useless family member right now, that saw pit worker. So we can just go, we can just make them unemployed. They can come out here and help out here, because there's not really anything else that they're going to be able to do back over on the other side. So now that we've got the stonecutter camp, 2 logs have been dropped off. Doesn't look like there's anybody out here building it at the moment, which is okay. We're not going to need too much stone when it comes to this. We're only going to need to collect 10 stone. And you can see that we're now getting messages that the storage is full at the hunting camp, so we can actually just go ahead and pull somebody off the hunting camp. The only thing is, at the end of the month, you will actually need to make sure that you've got food in your store, because if it's not available, you will start to lose points. So we can see that we've already had stock damaged here. So that was the stock that was outside. So stonecutter camp has now been finished. We're going to go ahead and allocate just 1 family out there, and we just need 10 stone. That's all we need. So it's nice and easy. We've also got back home, we've got the saw pit, which is now going to begin production as well. And with this, we're working towards our church, which is our next big goal point. Once we've got the church online, we're pretty much all set. So here we're just looking at the storage, and we just want to make sure that we've got 10. That's all we need, just 10 stone. Now, in these circumstances, as I said, normally in this build order, I wouldn't go for a storehouse, but just because we've got our stonecutter camp so far away, basically the families will only transport 1 stone at a time if we don't have that storehouse. Whereas if they do have the storehouse, then they will transport it. I think it's up to 10 at a time. So we're going to go ahead, put the storehouse down. I feel like this is a pretty decent location. You want to go somewhere that's close. I'm hoping that I put that down. Yeah, it looks like it's down correctly. You want to put it close to your stalls, because they're going to be supplying, the storehouse will be supplying, and it can become a double supplier as well. Speaking of supplier, let's go and throw somebody else on the pantry just to make sure that we're okay. All right, well, it looks like we've spotted another ruler's army. Not really that important. One of the things that can happen is the game does sometimes bug, though. It's not with the ruler's army, it's with the bandits, and you get attacked before the timer. So that's something to watch out for. Hopefully that doesn't happen to us today, because that would be quite awkward. I don't know what we'd do then. I guess we'd probably have to start the video again. Yeah, so essentially, by getting the storehouse up as well, it gives us a little bit of flexibility in the tannery as well as the woodcutter's lodge. It means that we don't have to have people in here all the time. As you can see, we're pretty much maxed on these, right? But the problem is, even though we don't want them cutting, we don't want them cutting down that firewood, because we're maxed, we still need somebody to supply firewood to the firewood stall, and that's where the woodcutter comes in. So now that we've got our storehouse online, we'll go ahead and we'll put 2 people in here. And we've taken them out of the tannery, we've taken them out of the woodcutter, so they will now fulfill those jobs, basically, and they're going to bring in everything into the storehouse. We can also take a look at our planks, so you can see we're still at 0 planks at the moment, because we haven't allocated somebody to the saw pit, so I'm going to go fix that up right now. That's a little bit sad. I was hoping we were on 20 planks right now, because normally with the planks, they can be very, very quick. So the storehouse is now going to be looking after the marketplace, so they will provide the firewood, they will provide, they won't provide the meat, but they will definitely provide the leather onto your marketplace. So that will be very, very handy, and it means that we don't have to have anyone in the tannery, anybody in the woodcutter's lodge. So saw pit starting to move on here. You can see that the pantry is still full, so we can try and take them out of the hunting camp. The only reason why it's so full is because the hunting, we've got the rich deposit, and so they're just going absolutely troppo in here at the moment. Now you'll notice up at the top that you've got some things that pop up here. As an example, requirements not met. This burgage plot causes a loss of approval. Check the building panel for details. So it says that the worker camp causes a loss of approval. That's incorrect. It doesn't. It doesn't cause any loss of approval whatsoever. So ignore that, basically. This right here, this worker camp, is just as good as a normal burgage plot. So that would be my advice, is just ignore. Now, let's take a look. We can get rid of our gentleman out of the saw pit, or our family out of the saw pit. We're going to go ahead and throw down a church. Now, normally when I throw down my church, I like to keep it as close as possible to where my logs are, because our logs are pretty much going to be what take the most time to get there, because our ox is going to need to move them. So we're going to go ahead and build the church. One of the things that I like to do whenever I'm building a church as well is I like to make sure that I've got everybody working towards that church. So I want to take everybody out from existing jobs just to make sure that we don't have them out here. Yep, wonderful. So anyone who's on an existing assignment, we'll pull them out of that and we'll get them working on the church straight away, because the sooner we get the church online, the sooner our approval rating is going to skyrocket, because all of a sudden we'll go from our church level being too low to having an acceptable church level, and this turns a negative into a positive. So this is really big for approval and the way that approval works. Basically, you want your approval to constantly be going up, because then that way you're going to be moving towards growth, which is very, very important, because the earlier you start growing, then the bigger army you're going to have when you do inevitably get attacked. Now, speaking of army, we've sighted another ruler's army. These guys, once again, not really relevant to us at this stage. It's just letting us know, so we're not too fussed about it. Mainly, we're concerned about bandits at this stage. So hopefully we don't see any bandits. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to save my game right now. I'm just going to throw that one in right here. Just because I'm a little bit scared, because sometimes the bandits do actually like bug out. Like it's been confirmed it is an actual bug. So yeah, it is. It's always something to be watching out for. And if your game does bug out, like there's really not much you can do. So maybe put autosave on, because yeah, if your game bugs out and the bandits come at like I've had them attack me at like 330 days remaining. It's like, man, I don't even have a burgage plot up yet, and you guys are attacking me already. So yeah, that's a bug. That's not intended. So as soon as our church comes online, this is where things start taking a turn for the better. You can see that we don't have enough fuel on the marketplace, so that's a little bit of a mistake from me right there. You can see we're at -1 at the moment, so we're going to go fix that up immediately. We'll go throw somebody over in the hunting cabin as well, just to make sure, because it looks like we don't have enough food on the marketplace either, so a little bit of a mistake from me right there in not monitoring those, but also a little bit bad timing with regard to the wooden church, because they only go in and pick up those resources once a month. But now that the church is online, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to build one burgage plot. So where do we want to drop this down? I'm feeling like over towards the other side of the church, maybe? Could make a little bit of sense. Maybe we'll come out like this, throw down a road along like here, and then I think we can just go ahead. We do have 16 timber at the moment, but I'm only really interested in putting down one burgage plot at the moment, just because we've got other things in store to do. So if you want to go for single plots, which I definitely do, and you can't find the right spot, or it's not working for you, just go ahead and make like 2 or 3, and then just demolish the other 2. That way you can get your nice skinny looking plot in there, because I don't want to go for the double stackers. I just want to go for the single stackers. Much better. Let's just put it that way. So now that we've got this plot coming up, that pretty much cements us for this stage of the game. But one of the things that we're going to need to do here is look to continue increasing our approval, because we've got a decent amount of food that's on the market, but it's only one type of food, and that's meat. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and look to our berries. So where are our berries? Our berries are quite far away as well. Now, normally, again, I say normally I wouldn't advocate for going for a granary, mainly because when you go for a granary, they are quite expensive with regard to stone. It's going to take 10 stone. But with that granary being so far away, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put one person on the stone, and we're going to go and throw down our forager hut. So let's do that. We want it nice and close to the berries, but not right on top of them. Somewhere around there looks perfect. And we're going to go and throw a nice little road in here. We want it as nice and slanted as possible. So they're now going to go and look to throw down the forager hut. This is really important because it provides that food diversification, and we want to try and get it in right at the beginning of spring. So we're racing right now, mainly because the berries are going to start growing. You can see they've already started growing. So the sooner that we get those berries in, the better. And the only reason we're so slow to actually get them here is because our stone is so far away. We've had to go for the storehouse, all that kind of stuff. Normally, we would be able to beat them out here. Now, you might be wondering about the burgage plot, the single burgage plot. Why did we put this down? The reason why we put this single burgage plot down was because of growth. There is the potential that we may grow. Now, the way that we grow is when our approval rating, and that's our permanent approval rating or our long-term approval rating, is 50% or greater. So that's not when our temporary approval rating is 50% or greater. That is our long-term one. So the sooner, essentially, we need to make sure that we've got the space to grow as well. So that's what that's for. So now that our forager hut has been completed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to assign 2 people into it immediately. This is really important for us to do. Assigning 2 people is going to be very helpful here because it's going to, what we want to do is we want to stock up on these berries. And berries are actually growing right now and they will continue to grow. So even though it says the berry deposit is 40 out of 64 and it will cap out at 64, you can go and gather those 40 and then 64 will grow again. And you can go gather those 64, and then another 64 will grow. There's a lot of berries in here. You're just going to be very quick with picking them up. Now, let's take a look and check how much stone we've got. We've actually got 27 stone, which is quite a decent amount. I'm going to make sure that we've actually... Let's double check, because we need to pick up this building as well. It's 15, and we also need to get our granary, which is 10. So we've got enough for both of those. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop this stonecutter camp for now. That's all the stone that we're going to need. And I'm going to go ahead and throw down our granary. Once again, we want the granary as close as we possibly can to our center here. Now, I did say clothing store was... Did I see that? Abandoned? I think it's abandoned, but it's being maintained by the... There's nobody in the storehouse. Careful there, mate. Careful there. All right, so we'll throw somebody in the storehouse and get them out of the woodcutter's lodge. You can see they're keeping a lot of the firewood in the storehouse, so they'll be fine. But that way, we'll actually maintain the clothing store here. And that means that our leather count should go from 1 here, it should go up to 2. We should see that shortly, because what's happened when... So there you go, right there. So what's happened here is by putting the burgage plot down, basically that's increased the cap on all of our buildings here, or all of our stalls here. And we've got a region that's now being claimed. That's okay. Nothing we can really do about that. We're still very young and small. So now that we are looking to get our granary through, it's going to be slowly but steadily that it comes in. But this is essentially expansion point. This is where we really don't do much for maybe like the next 150 days. I'm not even kidding you. There's really not much that we do in this next period of time. So basically, we collect the berries during spring, during summer. You can see we're already capped out over here, 50 out of 50. So we're going to stop for now. We need to get this granary up immediately because this granary is going to allow us to transport these berries back in greater number. So it means that instead of bringing them back 1 at a time, we'll be able to bring them back 10 at a time with the granary. So that's why it's really, really important that we get this online, because we want as much food diversity available to our people in the meantime. So slowly and steadily, our approval rating is starting to go up. You can see right now we're into all green territory. Now, the way that approval works is basically you start off at 50 basis points. At the end of the month, it will roll over a quarter of every single point, and it will round them as well. If certain months have more and some months have less, so it will round them up for you, or not round them, but it will remember basically the decimals. All right, so once our granary comes up, immediately we're going to throw 2 people into it, and hopefully they're going to go... Let's take a look and see. Are you guys really serious right now? Is that one stone out over here still? I bet it is. No, it's not. Is it just is it in the storehouse? It's just chilling in the storehouse. Come on, somebody go get it. Like the lunch break bell has just rung, and these guys are like, okay, we're going to go off to lunch. It's like, man, you were just about to do it. All right, it looks like... There we go, we're finished. So we'll throw 2 people into the granary immediately, and that's hopefully going to get them to head out. So that's 2 families. It should be 2 wheelbarrows that they run out here, and they immediately go and look to pick up the forager, or the berries with. So let's go and have a look. Hopefully, you'll see them all coming out here. Maybe they only get the wheelbarrows on the way back. Is that how it works? No, they just didn't bring their wheelbarrows. How many did they take? They literally all just took one berry. Thanks, guys. Could you bring your wheelbarrows next time? That's why I've employed you. I've employed you for your barrows. No other reason. I mean, I guess we can probably like slowly shuffle them back and forward, but it's going to take some time. Did you bring your wheelbarrows this time? Wait. No, not even these guys brought their wheelbarrows. What's going on with the lack of wheelbarrows here? I'm 99% sure you can get food and wheelbarrows. Wait, are they like, do they need to be connected to the road? Is it not connected to the road? Is that why? Oh, here we go. Transporting berries. Lorenz bringing home the berries. So he goes from 6 to 16. There you go. That's what we want. That's why we hired Lorenz, because he's going to be bringing back the berries. And so we'll leave 1 person on the forager hut just to try and cap it out at 50. And we'll keep 2 people inside the granary. for now. And in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing expansion. We're going to go for crazy amounts of expansion, just mainly because what we want to do is we want to maximize as much as possible our population. We want to try and get to as many population as we can by the time that we're attacked. So my goal normally is 44 people. If we can get to 44 people by the time that we're attacked, we're going to be in a really good position. It will mean that we can flesh out the majority of our army. So we'll be looking for the militia, the archer militia. That's going to be our main goal. So we don't have any families on construction work at the moment, so we can always look to flex in somebody. So we've got 2 on the granary, we've got 1 on the hunting camp. I think we can afford to lose the guy on the hunting camp for the moment, just because we've got the 2 on the granary, and they're going to have the ability to fill out the food stall just the same way that our storehouse can fill out the woodcutter lodge and the tannery together. So from here, we just continue expanding out our burgage plots. And we really don't do anything for the next 100 or so days. It's pretty boring. So we'll put a cut in the video here, and I'll wake you guys up in 100 days, and I'll check in with you and make sure that you guys are doing all well. All right, so we're back at day 100. We finally made it, and we've expanded out all of our burgage plots. So at the moment, I'm sitting on 15 living spaces. So that is a decent amount that will allow us to grow into that. I'm currently sitting at 24 population. My approval's up at 80%, but remember that is my temporary approval. That's not my permanent approval or my long-term approval. So it's not going to be as impactful on my growth, not until that longer-term approval starts coming through. But it's nice to be that high though, because it will slowly increase the longer-term approval. So what are we doing from here? Good question. So there's a couple of things that we need to do, and we need to do it immediately. So I'm going to start by putting 1 person in our saw pit. This is going to slowly start giving us some planks. The other thing we need to do, if we haven't already done it, is make sure we go out to our stonecutter camp and gather up some stone, because we're going to need to put down our manor. So our manor requires 20 planks, so it's very important that we get on it as quickly as possible. I don't actually know if putting a second person in the saw pit increases the amount of planks that you make, but I feel like it doesn't. But we're going to go ahead and do it anyway, and see how we go. So we need 20 planks, so it does 5 at a time, so you'll need 4 sets. In addition to that, we're going to be looking at getting a level 2 burgage plot in. And we're only going to be doing 1, because what happens whenever you upgrade a plot to level 2, it's immediately going to request new things. So you want new amenities. So in particular, they want access to ale. And we don't have that. We're not going to be giving that to them. And so what we want to do is we want to limit just how much that affects our growth in the long term, basically. So we want to try and get to 75% growth. At the moment, we're at 83%, but a lot of that is going to be based on our short-term approval, not on our long-term approval, but we want to work towards that. And so that means avoiding going into burgage plots, going into that level 2 burgage plot until it is as late as possible. So we're up to 10 planks. We're going to continue adding in more. So slowly and steadily, we do get there. You can see at the moment we've got 0 unassigned, but we can always look to just pull 1 person out of the logging camp, and slowly we get there. We're up to 15 planks. New family has just moved in. So we're doing well with regard to our growth, and you can actually see there's our growth right there. So we're at 60% for our long-term approval. So if we just do some math from here out, so it's about +8 from church level, +8 from food, and +8 from clothing. So each one of those is 2 per month each. So that's 6. So we know that next month is going to be at 73%, and then the month after that, we should have 2 families that arrive, because we'll be over that 75% threshold. So that's what we're going to be looking to try and master, but we will need to delay that burgage plot as long as possible. So let's take a look and see how we're doing with our planks. Not too bad. We're almost up to 20. So once we're up to 20, we're going to stop making planks immediately. All right, here it comes. I can feel it. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right, we're at 20 planks. So I'm going to pause the game now, because we need to think about where we want to position our manor. Now, the best rule I can give you is this. Typically, with regard to your manor, you want to take a look at where your land is positioned. So if you're in this corner, you want to position your manor towards the front of your base, where it's most likely to be attacked. That's the way I think about it. So for me here, that would be somewhere in this direction here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the manor down right here on the main road. I think this is a nice little spot. I'm going to go ahead and commit to that. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this comes up quickly. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull people out of the logging camp. But one of the things I want to do is I actually want to keep people in the saw pit. So I'm going to go ahead, I might just keep one person in the saw pit for now, because we are going to be needing these planks for our defense. So let's go ahead, we'll speed up the game now, fast forward it, 12x. We might even put a nice little road. Actually, there's no way we can really put in a road. I mean, we'd probably put one across, something like that, but it's not going to be that relevant. So slowly and steadily, they'll transport the goods out here. It does normally take quite a while to get the manor up, but as long as it's complete before the enemy attacks you, you're okay. And that's why we leave it to so late, because we really don't need to get it any earlier than this. So it's coming up online. You can see it's almost finished. We just need that 5th and final log. We've got plenty of logs down here, 25 logs in total. And we're also starting to work on those planks. More families coming through, and there we go. We've got our manor up and online with 75 days to go, and that's exactly when we want it. It's, well, I mean, we can have it one day before. And we now have access to a new policy because our manor's online. So you don't have to take this policy, but I'm going to take it in this circumstance because I've got a really good spawn with wild animals. They're already, you know, already capped out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up the hunting grounds policy. You don't need to do it in your own playthrough. I'm just going to do it here. And you know what we might do? We also might just go ahead. We might just grab trapping, which gives us a passive income of meat. Actually, you know what? We really don't need it. I'm still going to do it, though. Just because we can. So now that our manor is online, that's our defensive forces. So if we take a look down here at the army, that will now give us retinue. So that will give us 5 free defensive forces. That will also give us 2 families that will join us. So if we take a look here, you can see that there's 2 families. We've got Peter and Friedlein. And their husband and husband, don't worry, their wives will be joining them shortly, I assure you. And you can't control that family. That family, or those 2 families, they are always there. And sometimes you'll be like, where are my families? You know, I'm missing some. That's where they are. They're in the manor. So yeah, just remember that. Okay, so now that the manor is online, our saw pit is generating planks for us, or at least it should be generating planks for it. I think it was mainly because the manor was coming up, so we had to redirect all the planks over there. So now our next focus becomes our level 2 burgage plot. Now, this level 2 burgage plot is going to be turned into a specialty burgage plot, and it's going to be utilized for our defense. And we want to leave this to as late as possible. Now, I'm just going to run through some numbers for you, but a burgage plot generates 15 per month, if I remember correctly. And we want about 36, somewhere in that region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until we're right on that borderline, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit our level 2 plot as soon as we've got the ability to do it. What? I just realized. You know why we can't do it? Because we don't have a well. And that's one of the other things to note, is you don't actually need to put down a well until you need to upgrade your until you actually need to upgrade. So we're going to go ahead. We'll put that on high priority. I've just had a wave of embarrassment roll over the top of me. But this is one of the things that if you take a look at your house, your amenities, it is required. But it doesn't actually adversely affect you. Like if your people don't have access to water, they really don't care. It's only in the event. Where is our ox? Can I just ask that question right now? And why is he so far away? Is it because the logs that we're chopping are this far away? Is that why? Perhaps that's the case. Anyway, so we're now going to build the well, and once the well is online, I'm a little bit worried about this level 2 burgage plot. It might come in a little bit too late, just because it looks like he's not bringing in the logs from the logging camp. It looks like he's actually going out and fetching the logs and then bringing them into the house, which always takes so much longer. So that's going to be our first log that comes in. We'll put this on a high priority as well. Ideally, we want this up at 60 days. That's when we want it to land. The problem is, as soon as we click that button, it's immediately going to start giving us negative approval rating. So if we take a look on our next proc, normally it's every 2 days that it will update, but it might not. I can't remember how long it takes to update the entertainment requirement, but it'll come up very, very shortly. Fortunately, it's not huge though. Let's take a look. Hasn't popped up yet. All right, so we're at 61 days, perfectly timed. Now, we're going to switch this bad boy over here. We want to go to a bowyer's workshop. So if we take a look here, you'll see that we do have people that are inside, and they are waiting. So we want to go for a bowyer's workshop. So we'll go ahead and do that. That's going to take four planks to start off. When it comes to planks, we've got 7 in the bank. So they're going to be turning all of our planks into bows, basically. So we're upgrading 58 days, 57 days, and there we go. The Fletcher is online now, and you can see that they are going to start immediately turning all of our planks into bows. We're up to 13 at the moment, which is lovely. We're going to need a lot more than that. We're also doing quite a bit of logging. I've just realized we might need to think about getting a replanter in. So let's go ahead and get one of those guys online. Normally, or the forester hut. Normally, I don't go for them, but I think it can be pretty decent here, where I'm not really looking to move this early on. So let's go ahead and we'll connect this to the network. Let's go down something like that. Not much of a huge priority, but yeah. So slowly, we're going to see this number begin to rise. Warbows. So at the moment, if we were to form a militia, how many people would actually be in that militia? So if we take a look here, you can see that we've got 44 total population, which is normally our goal. If we can get to 44 total population when we're attacked, then we're doing well. So here we're quite ahead of the curve. So at the moment, it looks like we've got a 28. So the more people that we've got, so you can see we've got 26 and then we've got 2. The more that we've got, the better. Because that's more people that can hold a bow. More people that can shoot at the enemy. Those are really, really important things for us. So we continue adding in more and more warbows here. At the moment, we're not capped on planks. We've got plenty of planks in the bank. So the main issue is just going to be getting the planks over. Now, one of the things that you might be thinking about is, okay, what if I get a double stacked house? So for anyone who doesn't know what a double stacked house is, basically if you grab if you go to build a house like this, these are normal houses, and then this is a double stacked house. So basically it gives you this little icon. So this is technically one plot, and you're adding in a second house where a second family can go and live. And one of the things that you can do is you can upgrade that, and it won't cost you any more to do that. And you can essentially have 2 people that are doing the same specialty. The only issue is it's not very good. And the reason why is simple. The efficiency that it gives you is significantly lower. So you would expect that it would double your production rate, right? Like, let's say you're making 15 bows a month here in a Fletcher's shop, where there is a single family is making bows. So you would think if you had 2 families, it would be 30. That's not the case. It's only 20. So you're only getting a 33% boost in productivity with that second family added. So I really don't think it's worth it if you're going to be looking to do specialties to actually go into that. So there's our next, we've got our next month. So we're at 65%. Is that, I feel like, have we gone backwards? We definitely haven't gone backwards, but I feel like we're not as high as we should be. I thought we should be at this stage. Shouldn't we be at like 70%? Something like that? Anyway, it's lower than what I was hoping for. And speaking of lower than what I was hoping for, at the moment our warbow number is quite low. So maybe I need to look at getting my Fletcher's shop in a little bit earlier in the build order. Now this will still be fine, you know. Even if we've got 25, 30 bows, we'll still be fine. Now we only have fuel for 3 months, so I'm going to go ahead and throw somebody in the woodcutter's lodge. You can see at the moment it does say we've got 29 firewood, which I think is absolute. Can I just do some quick math here? Yeah, this is wrong. There's no way we only have fuel for 2 months. We have way more than that. It might be because we've got all these houses and it's calculating that based on how many houses we've got versus how many families we've got. Perhaps that's why it's thinking. Actually, I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe it's right. You know what? Let's go get some more wood. Let's go chop some more wood. So we've got 13 days until the raiders have arrived. We've got quite a few warbows that are starting to stack up here. Normally the cap that you're going to have on your military is not your weapons, it's your population, because there's no real issue getting weapons in. It's mainly your population. That's why we always try and get as high a population as we possibly can. So at the moment we're up to about 30, a militia size of 30, which is a decent size. Definitely, it's on the higher size when it comes to going for a strategy like this. But our raiders are about to come through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit this militia button here. We're going to form a militia. You can see that we've got 24 bows, so 0 bows in our inventory because they've all gone over to our militia. This is a really decent number of militia to have here. This is more than enough for us to defend, and I don't even think we will lose a single warrior. So let's keep on moving on here, because they will add in more war bows as we go, and you can see they immediately They immediately, the warbows go straight into our into our militia. So that number will continue to rise. We're up to 25 militia now. And when we take a look at our population, we're at 47. So we've got a maximum of 30 people. So we have spotted the enemy. A band of raiders has been seen over here on the border. Wait, are they in our territory? Hold on, pause. Did they spawn in our territory? I think they did. Oh, shit, they did. Oh, Lord. He coming. Okay, that's not good. I was talking for quite a bit there as well. We need to assemble immediately. Normally, this doesn't happen. Normally, it happens somewhere out on the map, but there is a chance they can spawn in your base. So we pause the game right now. I need to assemble immediately. I don't know where they're attacking from. We're going to rally towards this top side here, and I'm going to try and find a decent spot. It'll do. It'll do. All right. Let's make sure we've got people out here. I don't actually see them. Now, sometimes it can bug. I'm hoping that it hasn't bugged. Oh gosh, wouldn't that be awkward if it bugged? Like the one time I'm like trying to show people how to do it, I'm like, yeah, guys, don't worry, it works. And then the game just bugs out, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the army. So enemy unit has been spotted. So this is where they spawn in. They should be somewhere along this line. Sometimes when they're inside the forest, you can't see them. Oh no, I think it bugged. Oh Lord, I think it bugged. Oh, how sad. Okay, hold on. We're going to hold out. I'm holding out for a hero. And when I say a hero, I mean a bandit. All right, we got 25 archers. Now, you want to know something cool? If you manufacture a bow while they're standing all out here, they will assign the bow to that militia, and he will run out here with his bow and be like, I'm here, guys. I got the bow. Has the battle started yet? That's essentially what will happen. So we're going to stand here and we're going to wait, and we're going to hope that the enemy comes. But I'm kind of fearful. Oh! Enemy unit has been spotted. Oh! There they are. Okay. Never mind. It's not bugged. Oh, I was a little bit worried. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Okay. Our archers are going to stand like that in a big line. Okay. And our retinue are going to stand over to the side. Over here. And they're going to come in from the back. All right. So where are the enemies? Enemies should be in here somewhere. I don't see them. They're invisible when they enter into the trees, dude. Oh, did you hear that? I heard them talking, dude. He called me a word. All right, here we go. So we want to go on, I think we go stand your ground. No, I think we just put them on balance for now. And when they get closer, we can do shoot at will. Are they going to attack the retinue? They could also go to attack the retinue. You got to be careful here, because even though I'm hiding in the trees... Dude, I don't even see them. Even though I'm hiding in the trees, there's a chance they could be like, oh, the retinue. We're going to go and attack the retinue. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's move them out here just in case they do. You can see we're still pushing... Our population is still pushing up, by the way. We're at 49. Weren't we at 49 before? No, we weren't, because we've got 32 people that can hold bows now. So we really were capped out on our weapon number. So you can see now we have one war bow. So hopefully that should go down to 0. Where did they go? They were right here. Do you see them? I don't see them. No, where are they? It pops up on my screen. I'm speeding it up. I'm going 3x. Oh, they're firing. They're firing. We've spotted them. Okay, so we're going to go flank on the backside. We're just going to run around the edge like this. So we're firing off all the arrows. And now I'm going to put them on fire at will. Or shoot at will. And from behind, we attack with our elite forces. And you can see just how split the enemy is. We come in from behind. Look to annihilate them. And slowly and steadily, we take out their numbers. They're down to 11. They're down to 9, and immediately, they're out of here. And that's it. We've survived the first year. We've made it through. We thought we'd lost them, but fortunately, we didn't. They were still here. So now we can go ahead. We can disband our units. And now, we can think about the greener pastures that await us. We can look to move on. To conquer the lands before us, of course. You know what I'm thinking about. You know what I'm talking about. But this is the end of this series. This series was but one video. I'm showing you how to make it through the first year. That is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.